Hello, Kathy.
Yeah,
Be right back.
Hello, Cecilia. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Ben, you're the host, so you should be able to share your screen if you need to.
Billy D,
what's happening?
how are you? Nice to
Doing-
see your face.
Doing good, doing good. Got my Irish going on today. I just listening to a little Irish music. I just chased my kid out the front door across the front yard just to remind him that I can still bring it. He's laughing. He's sitting at the other side of the table. He knows I did it too. So I'm out
Love
of
it.
now.
Love it.
Can
I
you guys
love
see
your
my
Facebook
screen?
posts.
What's that?
I love your Facebook posts about your
Oh,
family.
Yeah,
I
I try
love
to.
the kids doing the dishes and cleaning.
There's no free rides over here, Kathy. Like there's no, there are no
Send
free
them.
rides. None of us.
My way.
Yeah, none of us had those free rides. So I'm certainly passing on the what my parents made me do, and my grandparents, what my
Right.
grandparents made them do.
Yep, good for you.
Keep torturing them.
Hi, Ben.
Hi guys, how you doing? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. My
Well,
I have a special guest, and that's my boss, Kate. She shall be here soon. So but how's everyone doing? This market is crazy, huh?
It's good.
It's good. It's good. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. That's why I'm wanting to have this talk today. And I just so you guys know, this is whenever I teach a class, I like it to be what's the word? Together, whatever. But if you guys have some ideas, if you have something you're doing to get listings right now, let us know. Let everyone know. I mean, we're all here to share, and I'm certainly not the end all be all of real estate. I know there's some new stuff that people are doing. I know my son Jake is running around. Write this down. This will be your first note. He's using this thing called Deal Machine. Costs him a little bit of money each month, but he's on all these investor Zoom calls. He's turning 20 next week, and he's running around the South Shore finding houses that are vacant. He's finding the people's name and numbers and stuff like that. So if you have any new ideas like that, if anyone does that are that are outside the box that maybe I don't talk about, let me know. So but we'll get started. We'll get started now. We got enough people going here. It's after 12 o'clock. We got an appointment. I'm going to show you with a lot of stuff that our team is doing to get listings. I got to tell you one thing. I'll just say to everybody is that this market, there's a lot of it isn't there are a lot of it just isn't any secrets. It's good old fashioned work, if you know what I mean. So, it's, you got to put the effort in, you got to put the stuff out there every single day in a market like this to be successful. So, just be prepared to work. Be prepared to work. There's going to be a lot of opportunity coming up. Billy, didn't you say last week there was 13% more new listings on the market?
Yeah, I mean inventory, and this is just my opinion, but it's coming on. I mean it's going under agreement, but we were down at like 2,500 single family homes, and then we went to 3,200. We're now back at just under 28. So, but you figure those 300-400 homes that came on and went under. We did eliminate 300 or 400 buyers from the marketplace, which is good. We got to keep doing that. So, I'm also hearing from guys like Brian Doherty and painters and septic companies that, they're doing pre-work on a lot of houses that are getting ready to come on. So I do think we're going to start seeing more inventory.
I hope so. I really hope so. It's been challenging, and I feel bad for the buyer's agents. It's been difficult for them. I mean, I had house in Whitman this weekend. We had, I don't know, well over 100 people through the open houses and a bunch of showings, 10 offers. It's hard. So, the best way to combat that is to get listings. So we're going to discuss it. We'll jump right in here. Attendees, me and Very Bright Real Estate Agents. You guys are the Very Bright Real Estate Agents. So we're going to talk about some old school stuff, some new school stuff. The one thing I'll jump on right now is just to start right out as the expired listings. We don't do a ton of this. I'll be honest. Some of the stuff we do, and some of the stuff we don't do. So just so you know, but these are ideas that we can all have, and I'll share this with you guys if you want it. But expired listings. Number one, if a listing expires right now, I'm never calling them. I mean, if your house does not sell in this market, there is something seriously wrong. So what I mean by that is I would go like even 1, but maybe 2 years ago, you can go into the MLS, you can search for expired or canceled listings, and you can go a couple years back and just look for them. The only thing I'll say is double check definitely double check the public record, because they do sell sometimes. So even though something expires, doesn't come back on the market, just double check and make sure that they haven't sold, and reach out to them. And when I'm talking about reaching out to them, guys, these, you can make phone calls, obviously, you can write letters. I actually feel like the personal notes are a good way to go these days, because a lot of times it's hard to get people's home numbers, and people don't really answer their home numbers that much anymore. But definitely go back. And the thing is, they may have no idea how much their house is worth right now. I mean, they tried to get 400 last time, it expired, didn't sell. They can get 450 or 5 now, and people are not aware of that. So definitely expired is the right way. Go back. I'd go 2 to 10 years, to be honest with you, back for expired listings. You never know what someone's. And the other thing about this is, when you call expired listings that far back, most people aren't doing it. So, when a house expires in markets like these, you'll have 50, 60 agents calling them. You'll be the only one calling them. If you go back, unless maybe a couple agents are smart enough to do this, but most won't. So it's a good idea to give them a call, and you'll be the only one calling them. Has anybody been doing this at all? Please feel free to speak up. Joan? I think she's on the phone. She just waved. But Joan, I don't know if you can get off mute if you'd like to contribute, but how's it been going? Have you getting any reaction from them?
No, not too much. I have I have a client I sold a property. Well, I haven't sold it. I had a property that had an accepted offer and a clause for suitable housing, and he can't find suitable housing. The house that he had, the home inspection went south big time. So he hasn't been able to find it. So I have been sending letters to virtually homes that fit his criteria in Raynham now for like 6 weeks. I did have one woman call me and said, "Oh, thank you so much for your note. When we're ready to sell, we'll let you know. We've just had a lot going on with the pandemic and whatever." So I have potentially a lead out of it, but no house for my seller to go to. So.
Now, a couple of things on that I just want to say on that. It's funny, my son was running around doing his deal machine thing, and he's like, "Dad, it took me 1,000, putting out 1,000 things, whatever, emails, letters, calls, before I got one lead." And I said, "You know what, that sounds about right." So you have to do a lot. But the other thing, Joe, and I'll say to you guys is, if you've got a number, if you've got expireds from 2 to 10 years old, I think you're better off finding 100 of them and contacting them 20 times rather than sending out 2,000 pieces of material to 2,000 different homes. Right. You will do much better if you send someone a letter or something systematically 20 times every 2 weeks. So if you are going to do that, I think it's important to set up systems in place that any of these ideas, don't just try once or whatever. And John, I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying that's just something that came to mind that makes sense to me, that I think you got to hit them a lot of times. I mean, just think about yourself. I think human nature, if you're watching TV, you think about buying something, it takes me to see it, 12, 15, 20 times before I take action. So it's the same way with looking for houses. You got to hit them a bunch of times. You know what I mean? Right. So I think if you're gonna do expireds, find really good ones. Find ones that that you're like, look, I know they're still living there. I know it didn't sell, but I know damn well that they probably get way more than they were asking the first time around, and try to get in front of them and let them know that. You know what I mean? Yeah. If that makes sense.
You know what? I know that you need to reach out multiple times and have a systematic approach. But I thought I was creative. I was in marketing for a bazillion years, and I guess I still am in marketing, but I run out of things to say. And, Billy says, just say it, basically say anything. It doesn't, not so much doesn't matter, but just put stuff out there. I spend more time trying to create like the perfect letter instead of just sending something out, you know?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I had a line that was given to me by an agent they were sending out there, and this is the line. Hey, are you, you had your house on the market a while back. I know it didn't sell. Are you considering selling again? Do you know your house may be worth more than you think? That line right there. You know what I mean? That's a good one. And again, I say keep it simple, stupid, right? Like just send out simple messages that catch your eyes. I mean, I think a lot of times we overthink things, and I say, think about what would catch your eye if you were selling your house and an agent was reaching out to you. What would catch your eye? The other thing, guys, is, I always think that real estate, I think us in New England, we're always 3 or 4 years behind those of us, the agents in California. I'm going to visit my son in San Diego on Saturday for a week. And I got to tell you, I'm going to come back with some ideas from California real estate agents. So if you're looking for things, search out California real estate agents, find out what they're doing. There's some good ideas, marketing ideas, and copy people. It's okay to copy. It's okay to find what other people are doing and copy them. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. So, but yeah, so expired's the right way. Does anyone have any questions about that one? All right. Moving on. Coastal homes. So I don't know about you guys. I live in Plymouth. I have a house down the Cape. I am seeing more people trying to buy coastal homes. Okay. Homes near the water, near the beach. Is anyone else seeing that? Well, if you're not, I'm telling you it's happening. I'm telling you it's happening. So especially down the Cape, it's amazing what's going on down there. But, definitely finding people's second homes. Now how you do that, you got to, get creative with it, search public record, things like that. You can go on public record and see people show you exactly where people live, if they're not around here. But it's definitely a thing that if you get a home, especially a little house near the ocean or a body of water, I'm telling you, people are going to fight over it. And you get these people, again, people that are out of state or whatever, they may not know that their little beach house is now worth $400,000. I'm seeing houses selling in Plymouth, down in my area, Manomet, that's just like, it's mind blowing. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. $500,000 for a small little house near White Horse Beach. It's mind boggling. And I don't think a lot of these people realize that, you know what I mean? So I think that's another really good idea, is to search for coastal homes, absentee owners, people that aren't around. And I might have actually said that more than once in my little presentation here. On the same token, FRBOs, I call them, for rent by owners, both weekly and monthly. A lot of these people that are renting these houses out weekly and so forth and so on, they're making some money off the weekly rentals, but they may not know how much that house is worth. I'll tell you, my partner Kate has a house down the Cape as well, in the Dennis area, and she's shocked at how much the things are selling around her. So again, if you don't have the conversations, you won't get them. So, and how you find this, I mean, last night I was kind of, before this class, getting ready, and you can go on Airbnb, you can go on VRBO, and you can contact the owners right from there. I mean, think if you contacted every, weekly rental that you could find all the way up and down the South Shore this week, and just reached out and say, have you considered selling it? Are you aware how much your house is worth? I mean, the information is right there to grab. So I think that's something that, definitely people can latch onto. Has anyone tried anything like that to look for rent by owners, or anything about absentee owners or weekly rentals? No. All right. What are you guys doing? What are you guys just, you calling anybody? And on that same token, landlords, investors, flippers. I got a listing recently in Plymouth. I had their house listed in 2016. Friend of mine, they live in Kingston. They have a 2-family in Plymouth. I called her up. I said, hey, you want to sell that property? Because last time we were trying to get like $400,000. Now we're getting like $500,000 for her. She was renting out the apartments for $1,300 a month. I said, why are you renting them out so cheap? She's like, well, that's why we don't want to be a landlord anymore. She'd be getting like almost $2,000. And she's renting them out for $1,300. She's like, I'll absolutely sell it. I put it on. It's under agreement one weekend. It should be closing in a couple of weeks with a cash offer. So again, landlords, if you find, again, along the same lines as the, absentee owners, go look for multifamilies in the area that, they're owned by investors. Call the investors, find out who own them. And listen, guys, you get an investor like that, they may sell with you, but maybe they're looking to sell that and buy another investment, right? So there's a lot of those people out there, but I mean, I sold it in a weekend, 100 people through open houses and bam, it's gone. So let me see, has anyone worked with any of those at all? Jeez, what a talkative group. Kate, there's my special guest. Thank God for her. I'd be all alone boring you guys here. Kate, what are your thoughts? You're on mute.
All right. No, I mean, I think all of these things are great suggestions. And, I talked to Ben a little bit, but I keep feeling like I can move his notes around, but I can't.
Yeah, well, here's, Kate, before you go any further, by the way, I'm kind of going one at a time, but some of the stuff we talked about, I'm going to go over just so you know. So you might skip ahead a little bit, okay? So
Okay.
I'm happy to show it. Just I just don't want to go twice, you know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
So some of the stuff we discussed, we're going to go over. I'm just kind of going one at a time, if that makes sense.
Okay, then you keep going.
All right. Well, what a guest you are. Thanks, Kate.
Well, I mean,
Thanks for jumping
I was
on,
going to talk and then you told me not to. I don't want to skip ahead. Ben likes to do things.
This is what a business partnership looks like, guys,
Yeah.
just so you know, all right?
I kind of go off script. He likes to, he's got to get in line there.
You gotta follow rules here. All right,
Okay.
here you go, moving forward. Listen, guys, telltale signs people are possibly selling. When you're driving around, be hyper aware of your surroundings. I mean, if you see dumpsters, Billy D brought this up because I called Billy for ideas on this as well. And a friend of ours in the western part of the state, she sold 3 houses last year, listed and sold 3 houses successfully by contacting people who had dumpsters in their yard. Think about that for a second. She wrote them notes. Hey, I see dumpsters in your yard. Are you thinking about moving? So forth and so on. If you see excavators in people's yards, they may be getting their Title V done. Title V done. If you have, painting signs, home improvement signs, stuff like that, reach out to people. It's okay to send them a note, give them a call and say, look, I see that you guys are, you're having some work done. Are you thinking about selling? Get creative. Excavators, again, that if they're digging a hole for a new septic system, there's a good chance they're thinking about selling their house. Most people won't do their septic system over unless they're selling their house. You know what I mean? So those are things to do. Someone told me in this business a long time ago, never go the same way home. Now on the South Shore, there's only so many routes you can take home. But, when you're driving around, go on some of the side streets, take a ride into neighborhoods, keep a look around. You never know what you're going to find. You never know what you're going to find. Just be hyper aware of what people are doing and get in contact with them. Any questions on that? Comments? Okay. A couple of these are Billy D ideas. Network with builders. One thing I've been doing, guys, on LinkedIn, I'm a real big fan of LinkedIn, as some people may know, but I'm connecting with all kinds of developers in Boston, and I'm reaching out to them and I'm messaging them and stuff like that. And so just trying to network with builders, there's plenty of them out there. Definitely a good thing to do because you never know what you might find too. And the other thing is builders are looking for projects. They're looking for land. So even if you could start looking for stuff for them, how nice would it be to find a builder a big piece of land that they do a development on, and then you get to be the listing agent on it. So definitely network with any type of builders. Business to business. Billy brought this one up to me. He's having a lot of good luck. He's got painters, and like I said before about the painting signs, he's getting business from painters and contractors who may know potential sellers. Again, I got a listing this year in Kingston because a painter friend of mine was going to go paint a house in Kingston. The house was old and it was loaded with lead paint. So he didn't want to paint the house. Painters, I don't know if you guys know that or not, but they don't want to paint. They don't want to deal with lead paint. So he called me and said, you know what? It's going to be cheaper for them to sell the house. They'll make more money. And I'm not going to do the job. I didn't want to do the painting job. And I got it. We sold it. And we sold them 2 properties. They bought it for sale by owner. But anyways, we've listed and sold their house. But I wouldn't have got that without having that contact with him. Okay. Anything to add, anyone? Any questions? Geez, you guys are a talkative group today, huh? Kate?
Ben, let me just,
Ben. Oh, sorry.
I'll-
Go ahead.
I'll talk there for a second. The business to business, is huge. The painters, anybody like you mentioned who's Title V companies, build up your inner circle of people who fall into those categories and have those conversations with them. And when they send you a referral, make sure you send them something back, some type of item of value, and be awesome. And then as we're sitting here, I'm literally writing handwritten notes to, what Benny was saying. You go to an appointment one way and you come home another way. There's a dilapidated house on my street that, rehab is worth a lot of money. And I'm going to go drop another note. I keep leaving notes in their mailbox to see if they want to sell it. But you got to be creative.
You have to be, and I think you got to be bold too. Not to talk about bold, that's not bold, KW bold, but you got to be bold. You got to be bold. I know that you got to ask the questions. You got to be willing to, you got to be willing to kind of bug people in a way. And don't be afraid of it. Don't be scared of it. Get, follow up. You know what I mean? But Steve, did you have a question?
Nope.
I thought you said something.
I didn't say anything.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Becky?
I have a question. So you're talking about, I'll go back to when you were talking about expires. You were saying you'd pick 20 houses that you follow up with, more than just going to 100 houses. How often, if you're sending notes, how often do you follow up with either a handwritten note, or would you call them the next time? How do you?
I mean, again, it depends if you get a phone number. I mean, listen, I'm a phone call guy from way back. I was talking to Hunter from our office earlier today. I was telling her, if I could just spend all my days calling strangers on the phone, I would love it. That's all I need to do. Hey, you think about selling a house? No. All right, goodbye. But the thing is that people aren't answering their phones. I mean, I'm not. I know that. I'm not. I don't know how you.
I have something to add to that too.
Yeah.
If you send a note and it's an area that you're familiar with, one of the things that also is effective in another touch with another person is to say somebody in the neighborhood, or you're Facebook friends with somebody in the neighborhood. You reach out to them and say, listen, I just sent a note to your neighbor because I realized that they had tried to sell before, or, whatever it is, whatever your reasoning is. Do you happen to know them? And do you have their contact information? Or, I have a great family that's looking to move on that street. Do you think that, they would be interested in selling? And it's a way to start a dialogue, an easier way with somebody that it's another touch. And you never know, they may say, you know what, we were thinking about selling, or yeah, I know them really well. We talked to them out at the bus stop, or, I see them, walking the dog, and I can definitely mention that and try to get their information so you can give them a call. So just thinking about other ways to contact people through your sphere. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I'm going to get to the sphere too. But one thing Kate just said that I want to say to you guys is, I consider recruiters to be probably the best salespeople in the business, like people that go out and try to headhunt and find people for jobs. And I have a good friend of mine that used to do this, and he taught me this technique, and it's so simple. He's like, if I'm looking for, say, a doctor, I'll call other doctors and say, hey, I got this really amazing opportunity for a doctor. I know you're a doctor, and I know that you know a lot of doctors. Can you do me a favor and keep me in mind if you know anybody looking for this type of position? And he says, more times than not, the person I'm calling will turn around to me and say, I'm actually looking for a job like that. It's literally a technique. So what Kate just said is, calling people and saying, hey, your neighborhood's really hot. Can you do me a favor? Just keep me in mind if you hear of anyone thinking about selling. You'd be surprised the amount of times that people are like, I'm thinking about selling. How much is my house worth? You know what I mean? It's just it's a good way to give, and like Kate said, it's a conversation starter. That's the biggest thing. And it's a touch. It doesn't always have to be, just food for thought. That's all, guys. Okay. Anything else, Kate?
That was all for now. I don't want to move ahead.
Thank you.
Hey, Benny,
Actually, this was one of Kate's ideas. Huh?
I'm sorry. Can I just say one thing to Becky?
Sure.
On expireds, I've talked to many agents who, if you're just going to focus on getting your listings from expireds, a lot of agents will touch those expireds 1, 2, 3 times, and then they stop. You have to do 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's usually you start to gain traction at the higher amounts, but most agents quit after 1 or 2, and they just think there's no interest, and you just got to keep grinding. A good friend of, guy Corey, he found his most success on like that 6th or 7th touch on an expired.
That is absolutely right. You should not contact expired once. You might as well not do it, to be honest with you. You gotta hit them a boatload of times. you know, and right now, I mean, you can pick and choose, especially if you go back. Like I said, find ones that you know are a slam dunk, you know what I mean? Recently purchased in the last 2 years. So we're having a lot of
And I
people come.
have a
Ben,
question about
Ben,
this.
can I-
Sure.
So if you're reaching out 6 times to sorry, Tazia, did you want to go?
Oh, go ahead, Steve. I'll go after.
So if you're reaching out to an expired 5, 6, 7 times, are you doing that weekly, monthly? What would you do?
It's up to you. Probably every couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. I do. You know, it depends on what you want to do. I mean, you know, look, all they're going to do is say no if they don't want your business. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what's the worst they're going to say? No. You know,
Yeah,
that's
Steve,
the way I
just-
look at it. Just keep on them.
just set
You
up-
got to be aggressive.
Just set up almost like an 8 touches in 8-week program.
Okay.
You know, design your own system for it. And it just might be a handwritten note, a call, an item of value in the mail, another call. If you have their phone number, a text, an email, just eight touches, 8 weeks, and just
Okay.
run it right through its course.
You know what,
Okay.
Steve? Go knock on the door without a mask on. They'll let you right in.
Yeah,
You know.
do it in a really bad neighborhood to start too. That's my advice.
So what was your
Um,
neighborhood, Billy?
So, and then people that recently purchased in the last couple years, we're hearing a lot of people coming down from the city. I'm also hearing people coming down and hating it. I had a friend of mine who sells real estate in Cambridge. He's like, buddies of mine moved to Dennis out of Cambridge. They hate it. He's like, there's nothing open in the winter. What in the hell did we do? And they're going back. So you're going to get people who do that. So don't be afraid of people that just purchased houses to talk to them. You know what I mean? People in general that have bought, they may not like it. And some people may be able to make some quick money. And people bought a house a year or two ago, it could be worth a lot more. And they may be willing to cash out on that.
So Ben, my neighbor, right next door to me, bought the house next door to me a little over a year ago. And just by circumstances, they had to sell. It's not because they wanted to make a profit, but in, I'll say 14 months, they made $100,000.
Wow. That's a
14
lot.
months.
Yep.
That's the thing, Kate. Kate, will you comment on that for me? Because I know you're doing that right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm trying to reach out to people that have bought recently, and I'm trying to apply a number that I know would be a minimum that they would get. So there's something a little bit more tangible. And I'm just saying, I know that you recently purchased, but you know, this market has completely changed and improved. And if you are, you know, disappointed with your decision, or you feel already that you're ready for a different property, you know, this could be a good time to sell. Now, again, you have to take into consideration where the buyers are coming from, and always put yourself in their position, the sellers and the buyers in this market, and not in the position of a real estate agent. They are under the impression that the market is wonderful, that we are making money hand over fist, that we are in our glory days here. So you got to understand that their concerns have to be addressed. And I always try to touch upon that no matter what the correspondence is. Most people are not selling right now because they don't know where to go, and they're afraid of where they may or may not go. So that is something you want to address when you're corresponding with these sellers. Not just about how much money they can get. That's irrelevant if they are going to be homeless with no place to go with their family. So you got to think about that side of the coin as well.
I think what you should write in these cards is, do you have your second vaccination shot? Time to sell. That'd be a good one. I'm kidding, Kate. That was a joke.
Yeah.
But that's the truth. Honestly, we have clients that are waiting till they get their second vaccination to sell. So, you know, I mean, I say that jokingly, but that's the truth. But I do think the messaging has to be important. Now, listen, guys, I'm not against writing someone a card 10 times in a row for every 2 weeks. Hey, do you know what your house is worth today? We'd love to help you in neighborhoods in demand, and having the same message every time. Don't complicate it. You don't have to get super creative. It's a simple message you can have. Kate's got a different spin that's working for her, but if you're not creative like me, just the same message over and over again, that doesn't hurt either. It's a touch, it's getting out there. I mean, you know, someone gets the same card over and over again, they're like, geez, it gets through their head, you know what I mean? But anyways, people who purchased between 1990 and 2000, these people, you know, are definitely a group. I mean, looking for people, like I've right below it, demographics of people looking to leave the state. those kind of like are two in the same. You might have a lot of people that are either downsizing or relocating. Because like Kate just said, one of the biggest problems we're having is where do they go? They can make $1 million, but where are they going to go? They're going to have to spend $1 million. You know what I mean? So, trying to find people that may be going down south to maybe a warmer climate or an area that the market isn't as expensive, those people you can really key in on. And again, all these things, the 1990 to 2000, I use that. You could go maybe in 1980 to 1990, something like that. Those folks are going to sell. They're just going to sell. There's no doubt about it. I remember one time, Kate, how much did we spend for Smart Zip? Like $20,000. It was like this it was crazy. We spent all kinds of money on it. And it was this program that did these like algorithms to find people that most likely were going to sell. And after a while, I'm like, I can kind of do that without giving you money. I can just go on the public record and find out who bought when. It's very simple to do. And if you need to know how to do that, please, it's really easy to search on the MLS. If you don't, we can certainly talk about that. But at any rate, we spent a lot of money to get information. And also, none of these ideas I'm giving you, other than the cost of maybe stamps and some, stationery and stuff like that, we're not asking you to spend a lot of money. These are things all of us can do for very cheap amount of money, and they're good touches, okay? Any questions or comments on that, anybody? Okay. Moving on. Contact neighborhoods that your buyers are looking in. Kate, could you comment on that? Because you've been doing a lot of this, and I thought this was a really good idea.
No, what I recommend doing with this, because you are in fact representing, your intention is to represent the buyer in these transactions, right? So it's an easier communication because you're emailing or calling them with the intention of fully representing your buyer, not the seller. So one of the things that I've been doing is having my clients write a letter in addition to my letter to these people, because that gives them a level of authenticity. And also it probably separates our letters a little bit from some of the other agent letters, that there's something coming from an actual client who is actually interested in buying their home. So that's just something to think about too. You are going to be pigeonholing that conversation to buyer representation. So if you don't really have a buyer, that strategy should not be used, because you're actually intending to be a seller rep. But if you're really representing the buyer in the situation, it's a great strategy, I think, because it, like I said, it does, give some authenticity. Another thing you can do, and this is a very risky strategy that you obviously have to have the permission of the buyer, but you could send an offer with
That's
a letter.
Great idea.
And just say, this is a bona fide offer signed by our buyers to purchase your home. If you are thinking about selling, they would be very interested in selling and in purchasing. And, the offer price with a copy of a pre-approval and a check with the, account numbers wiped out is going to catch the eye of a lot of people.
That's a phenomenal. I'm glad you're my partner, buddy.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. That's a phenomenal idea. And that's getting aggressive, but how many of you guys have buyers out there right now that you're going around, you're showing houses, you're one of 20 offers on these houses, you're missing out on 10 in a row. Your buyers are going to start looking at you sideways. Like, what are you exactly doing for me? Like, what is the benefit of me having you be my buyer's agent if you can't sell me a house? Well, talk about building good rapport and loyalty with your buyer. Saying, hey, what neighborhood do you like? Well, listen, you write a letter, I'm going to write a letter, and show them that you're sending that out. Or thinking outside the box. I didn't even think about writing an offer. That's phenomenal. That's a great idea. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Right? And Kate, we've sold houses like that. I say we because you do it, and then I count myself in on it. But that's a great idea.
It's true.
You guys are so funny.
And yeah, well, this is real life actually. But the thing of it is that, your buyers do have a network too that you should be tapping. And part of the tapping of that network is having them reach out to people they know in these communities and saying that they're, looking for things. That used to make me worried because I used to be afraid that they would just connect with a private sale. In this market, buyers and sellers do not want to be unrepresented. They really want representation, because I have a client right now who's looking up to like 2.3 million, and she's writing letters, and I was really nervous because I'm like, gosh, if she connects with somebody, that's a big sale to lose. But you know, I was very upfront and honest with them about this and said, listen, if you find somebody on a private sale, you know, I would never step in your way between, you know, that's not our job, is to stand between two parties. You know, but they may or may not want me involved, and they're like, you're involved, not even a question. So, you know, it's important to have as many conversations, and the more honest conversations you have with people, the more trust you have. And that trust is the most powerful thing in this market, because you're going to come to a point where you're going to have to advise somebody on something that feels really uncomfortable. And if you've built up a level of trust, that conversation is going to go a lot easier than if you are just kind of still in that, I'm not sure if you want to take my advice feel, you know.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. And so moving on a little bit to the next topic, which is concentrate on your closest sphere. I think this is something, and we kind of hit on it already a little bit. I think this is something that's very important. Again, the second bullet point is educate your sphere of influence, the realities of this market. I can't tell you how many people have called me lately telling me they want to get into the real estate market. They want to get into the real estate business. And I think it's a great market. It's a challenging market, but it's a tough market. I'm like, you're getting in now? We don't, you know, we only have 3,000 houses to sell all across the state. So it's challenging, but if you're on this call, it's a good thing. I don't want people to worry. That's not my message here, but people just think, like Kate said, people think we're just raking in the dough, and we're not. It's like, it's hard to find buyers. So when you start telling them, hey, listen, you know, reaching out to people, I'm not sure if you know this, but this market's been super challenging. And as a friend of mine, a contact of mine, can you do me a favor? Just keep me in mind. I mean, if everyone in this call simply sent out 100 text messages in the next 2 days and said in the text message, hey buddy, just reaching out to you with a business question for you. Do you know anyone who's thinking about selling? We are dying for listings out here, and I know that you know a lot of people. Can you please just keep me in mind? Just something like that to 100 people. I bet we'd get collectively 10 to 20 listings. You know what I mean? Or at least.
And I want to touch on that with the sphere, because perception is everything. I walked into my neighbor's house on Friday, and a couple of our neighbors were over there. They literally started cheering me. They're like, raise a glass to Kate. This is amazing. We're so happy for you. I'm like, happy for what? They're like, the real estate market. It's amazing. We're so happy for you. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, the real estate market is really awesome if you're a seller that's leaving the country, basically. But other than that, it's a really and then I went to dinner on Saturday night with my husband at Dishes, and I ran into other, you know, people that I knew, and they also were like, I'm so happy for you. And I'm like, oh gosh, this message is totally turned around, and we need to make sure that we are telling people that the market is appreciated, but appreciation does not equal additional deals or, you know, better real estate sales for the average agent. So again, or, you know, any agent, this is just not how it works. And I think everybody on this call needs to really, really think about what your response will be, you know, when people say to you, wow, the market is really awesome right now. You know, don't give that quick knee-jerk reaction of, yeah, it is. You know, it's great. Everything's wonderful. Life is great. I'm so busy. You know, be careful with those types of words and those types of responses to people at a time where market inventory is so limited.
Yeah, I mean, people would ask me that all the time, and I made the mistake of, oh, it's awesome, and just like, you know, just talking at them. When the reality, if someone asks you that question, what you're supposed to do is, yeah, it's decent. Why do you ask? You know what I mean? Are you thinking about selling? Just curious. Why do you ask? You know, ask them why they're asking that question. You know, 9 out of 10 times they're just making conversation if you're sitting there watching your kid play soccer or something like that. But it doesn't hurt to say, why do you ask? Oh, well, my neighbor's thinking about selling, blah, blah, blah. And you know, you got to train your folks to refer you. They won't just automatically refer you just because you had a funny Facebook real estate post. I mean, they're just not going to do that. You got to train them. You know, why do you say that? Why do you ask that? You know? So just important points. Anybody have anything else to add to that? Okay. Actually,
Dan, hi, it's Bernice. How you
Hey,
doing?
Bernice, how are you?
Good. I figured I should say something and not let Kate be the only one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Bernice. Share your knowledge, my friend.
Yeah, no, I was just, listening to you guys. And one thing that Kate said is like, when you're contacting these people, to just be authentic, come from a place of wanting to help them. I never was in the practice of contacting FSBOs, but have been doing that lately, and actually got, a property under agreement, and actually got them to agree to pay me a commission, which, they never want to do that. But I think FSBO sellers are finding it challenging too, with all of the buyers as well, having to deal with all of that. So definitely come from a place of authenticity.
Where are you seeing the FSBO? I have not seen FSBOs. I just am not.
So it's funny
I
that
think you
it
put it on
wasn't
this list.
online. I was literally driving around, and like you said, Ben, like, be really aware of your surroundings. And I saw the sign and I was like, hey, and I went online to look it up to see if it was there, but it was nowhere. The woman literally lives in Gloucester and just put a sign outside and
Nice.
figured like one of the neighbors would. And I had a buyer who was looking. It's in Dorchester. It's a beautiful single family too. And just called her up, and I had never done that before. Like, I'm a chicken. I don't like those calls. So I wasn't making those calls, but it turned out to be really good. And then something else too, I was on a call. So anyone who refers you, I've been doing this too, and have gotten 2 listings in the last month. Anyone who refers you, whether it turns into a referral or not, I send them a little card with like $5 to like Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks.
We do the same thing, Bernice, every single person.
I never
Starbucks.
did that before. Like, if it didn't turn out to be a deal, I wouldn't send them anything. But I was on this call and they were like, you got to get people in the habit of getting rewarded for every time they refer someone to you, so they'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I did that and ended up getting, I got 2 listings, which is nuts.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is
That's
nuts.
awesome.
So I just wanted to share that little bit.
No, thank you. Yeah, what we do on our team is Kate's friends get Starbucks cards and mine get Dunkin' Donuts. You know what I mean? Her fancy friends. So true story. But no, I do think, and with the for sale by owners guys, if you do call them, I think it's one thing to do what I used to do, and I haven't called for sale by owner in a long time, but what I used to call them and say, hey, if I had a buyer for your home, would you consider paying a fee? That's number one.
Mhm.
Number 2 would be, well, can I take a look at it? Don't say you have a buyer if you don't. That's a lie. You don't want to lie to people. It's a wrong thing to say. Hey, I'm always keeping up with the market. I'd love to see the interior house. Can I stop by? They always let you over. You know what I mean? Another thing when I used to go to the sale by owners is I would help them. If I saw something wrong with the house, even without asking the business, like, you should probably move that piece of furniture. That's not going to help this house look good. You know what I mean? So those are all really important things. And the other question I have, Brittany, do you see for sale by owners on like Zillow or anything like that? Because
So
I was looking for them last night.
I looked only because I saw this sign to see it, but there were very few. There were very few. I have seen some signs in my neighborhood where they're just not online. They didn't use a Zillow or anything. They just literally put a sign up. So that was quite honestly my first experience with it, but you definitely have to be aware of it and send those letters and contacts out. I did get a guy who finally called me back, and he said that he called me back because I was the only person who actually wrote the letter. Like, I hand write it. I have like this little box of cards I was going to show you guys that I buy at like CVS, and I keep them in the car. And then when I see a house that looks like, it might need some love or might need a real estate agent, I just write a quick little note and throw my card in there and just drop it in the mailbox.
And have you had good results from that?
So I've gotten 3 people to call me back, and then I just stay in contact with them. Eventually, hopefully when they sell, they will. But, I think the biggest thing is just getting contact with the person who's there. So.
And that's a good point, Bernice, about the handwritten, your own handwriting. That does make a difference.
Yeah.
I have terrible handwriting, so I don't do a ton of notes. It just doesn't look good. But it is a real point. I mean, I know people have like these computer programs where it looks like they handwrote. I just think that the original handwritten, it means something to people.
Yeah.
And I think handwritten notes are getting more and more popular. And guys, if you're in sales, you don't like to call people, write a note. I mean, how hard is that? Anyone can do that, Write 5 notes a day. If you just wrote 5 notes a day, 5 days a week for 40, 48, 58, 50 weeks a year, do the math. You're going to get some callbacks, so try not to overthink it. So the last thing that I wanted to say was just social media campaigns. This kind of goes back to what Kate was saying about the messaging and stuff like that. I put out a couple messages like, I've searched an on-market snapshot, did it from a year back to last year today, highlighted that last year, I did this week, that there was 7,000 homes for sale in the state of Massachusetts last year at this time. And as of Monday, there was like 3,200. Like Billy said, a lot of them sold. But that gets a ton of reaction. And basically the message is, we need houses to sell. And I say in my message, if you don't hire me or our team, please hire someone. Because the real estate community, we need listings. So that's one of the messages I have. Does anyone else have any other messages or social media stuff they're doing that's working that they can share? Someone's got to be doing something, right? Is Bernice trying to talk to us? Or she's talking to someone on the phone? Look at her selling houses during a class. But does anybody have any speak up? Someone speak up. Some sort of
Hey,
social
Ben,
media campaign
I'll
working.
talk.
Hey, thanks, Justin.
On Mondays from 2 to 2:30, they're doing KWNE's doing a listing initiative class. It's only a half hour, but they literally give you scripts, social media posts, and emails to send out to your sphere and stuff. And I've been using that. And they're really easy, really simple, and they're literally done for you. You just plug them into your social media account, send them out.
I saw that. I got an email about that. And I've been meaning to jump on. I almost did this week, and I got distracted. But can you just tell us a little bit about it? It's a half hour. It's a quick hit, right? It's pretty good,
It's a
right?
half hour. It's 3 MAPS coaches, I believe. They're actually doing like a giveaway if you have a listing. Put your name in a drawing, pull it out. You win $500. They pull your name. They go over, like I said, one script usually, and then they'll send it out to you at the end too. So you get the script, you get the social media post, and you get the email. And you honestly just plug in the name if you're sending it to a certain person, or you just go in, download it to your computer, and send it out on Instagram or Facebook, and that's it. You'll see
That's
like
unbelievable.
me and Bucher have been doing it, and there's a few others. You'll see it come up a little bit more, but we all have different spheres, so it really doesn't matter if we're all sending it out.
Right. So I think that's what I struggle with is content, right? I took a picture of my dog yesterday on the beach. That was my big contact for yesterday. But I agree with you. That's fantastic. I did not know that. I've been meaning to jump on those. So once a week, they'll give you the material every week.
Yep. So every Monday, 2 to 2:30, I think.
Perfect.
For the next, it might be another 4 weeks or so.
Beautiful.
Definitely check it
I
out.
appreciate the heads up on that. Like I said, I mean to jump on that. So those are the ideas that our team has been using and we've been talking about. As far as like the method, like I said, you can do what you want. I'm a phone call guy. I like to get people on the phone. It's difficult, so I'll usually text and try to get someone on the phone. That's the most important thing for me because I think getting them on the phone is the best thing to do to get the most out of it. The contact is just getting them talking on the phone. But Kate, do you have anything to add to this before we jet on this one?
No, I think we gave a lot of good suggestions. I think everybody contributed, and I think the spring market happened, I think last year in June. I think this year it's in March. Typically it's in February, but it's going to come. There's a lot of listings coming on now, pretty much every day it seems. So, make sure you're continuing to have those conversations and let people know that you're out there working, and just keep going.
The one last thing I'll say about this is I realized this over the weekend when I had a listing with 150 people through it and 10 offers. The sellers were really, really glad I was there. It's a lot. They're realizing, he even said to me yesterday, because I'm realizing that getting the price you want for your house is only one aspect of it. Picking the right offer is really important. So when you're out there and you're talking to sellers, keep that in mind. Even though they can get a million offers on the homes, they still need us. They need guidance. They need to know how to make decisions properly. They need to know how to read through financing. I mean, we had so many offers, their head was spinning. They're like, we wouldn't know what to do. So I know it seems to a lot of people like, oh, it's just easy. Hey, throw my house up on Zillow, it'll sell, no problem. I'll get $1 million for it. You still need guidance. They still need us, and they're going to need us for a long time. So when you're going to help people and when you're lead generating or whatever, keep that in mind that you're bringing a value. You're bringing something. You're bringing help to someone. And even though it's a good market of sellers, it's challenging in other ways. So just please keep that in mind when you're out there. Okay, guys? Any questions at all or comments? All right, beautiful, guys. Well, listen, I appreciate you showing up, and go get them, and hopefully you guys have a profitable end of the week and into the weekend.
Thank you.
Ben.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yes.
Thank you, Ben.
Have a good rest of your
you.
day.